Welcome to the Spirits Operator podcast. I'm your host, Mary B. Here we navigate the ethereal currents between the mystical and the mundane. Join us as we embark on a journey to unravel the mysteries of healing, metaphysics, and the extraordinary, guiding you through a realm where spirituality meets everyday life. Get ready to explore the unseen forces that shape our world and discover how to harness their power for personal growth and transformation. Welcome aboard, fellow travelers, as we embark on this captivating adventure together. I'm thrilled to introduce our guest, CanDace, the visionary founder of Louloudi Skincare. CanDace is a remarkable entrepreneur, formulator, and healer with a mission to help women uncover their inner radiance and embrace self-love. Her products are rooted in the healing power of plant medicine, free from harsh chemicals, parabens, and sulfates. By harnessing botanical benefits, CanDace offers formulations that nurture the skin, body, and soul. In her diverse career, CanDace founded Sleeping with Manhattan to support single women in New York and authored Sleeping with Manhattan. She also launched Hi CanDace, a consulting firm guiding women entrepreneurs into building sustainable luxury brands. So, hello, let's welcome CanDace to the podcast. Hey.
How's it going?
It's
Happy
going
Friday.
great. Oh, I know, right? Yeah, it's so nice.
Mm-hmm.
So now, CanDace, can you please share, about you, where you're at, how you started your skincare line and where all this began?
Well, I am in Detroit. I moved back to Detroit 9 years ago, probably in January. I am a maker, a doer, a formulator. I'm a really creative soul. And initially in my life, I thought I wanted to go into fashion and be like this. I don't know what. I had no idea, but that's the direction I took. And I lived in Chicago. I lived in New York. And I always worked in the industry, but it was never fulfilling. Never. I never could get the point of the urgency. We're not saving lives over here, guys. Just please. And so I could never really hone in on whatever my creative abilities were. And I did everything. I worked probably 36 jobs in New York total, from a nanny to the Northeast rep of Max Mara. Okay. Wow. So I bounced around. I couldn't figure my life out. I didn't know what I was doing. I loved New York. All my friends were there. And even my friends from Detroit were there. So my family was in New York. But one day, I had been asking for a sign from the universe, and I had been really trying to meditate. Funny now, I can't believe I was trying to meditate then. I was not doing anything. I was just sitting there just blah, 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 in my mind.
But you were trying, and I love that.
I was trying, and I did not know trying is the only part, right?
Yeah.
It's the will. But I was just kind of lost. And then while working a job as a nanny, I started writing, and on her nap times. And I started a blog called Sleeping with Manhattan, which was just about dating in New York. And I felt I had a really good time being single in New York and just being who I wanted to be and feeling free and able to move as I wanted to move. And I wanted to write a book to motivate women to feel empowered by the freedom. Especially once you get married, it's not the same thing. And it's you'll miss this time in your life. So enjoy it. And I had a podcast and I had a blog and I had a book published. It didn't really go anywhere, but that was my first foray into writing, working on my own and having the discipline to do so. But I was writing all the time and I was really into it, but I wasn't moving any needles. Okay. So by this time, I'm in Brooklyn and I'm broke. I'm broke. And I was about to get a
I can
job.
Imagine.
Mm-hmm. And I was about to get a job at this hair salon. And I'm a very responsible worker, even though I have 36 jobs. I've showed up to all of them. And I remember I missed my first day.
Oh, no.
Just woke up that morning, didn't think about it at all for 3 hours until I was
what?
That was my last chance. So during this time, I'm trying to figure it out. I had a friend who came to visit me and he came 3 times and he kept saying, you need to move back to Detroit. You need to move back to Detroit. Finally, I was like, fine, universe, I'll move back to Detroit. So I literally, it was not a smooth, nothing was smooth about this move. It was a clunky kaplunk into my mother's
Just
house.
threw you in.
Threw me down, knocked me out, sick for
Oof.
3 days, so sick that I had paid movers to move my things. I had to send them back. I could not get up to get them in the house, and they had to come back around.
What?
It was crazy. And I was just depressed. I was just pressed in and just like, I'm a failure. Now, I mean,
Oh,
I'm like 30, like failure. I haven't even lived to fail yet, but like, all of the
it
false
feels that
beliefs
way.
are
You're in it.
feels that way when you're in it. So my good friend who lived here, who had also lived in New York and moved back a while ago, she sent me The Alchemist, and I read that book, and I didn't read it as a spiritual book. She didn't send it to me as a spiritual book. She was like, I love this book. I think it'll help you. It changed my life without me realizing at the time. I had to look back and say, oh, okay.
How
And it was a
interesting.
story of someone leaving home to find a treasure and, all of this. I'm not going to give it away. But after this, during this time, I'm like, I have to get a job now. What am I going to do? I've been freelance writing, and I have freelance written my behind off. Okay. I had a job once paying me like $250 to rewrite 50 nail polish names and descriptions. Just
50.
these crazy, weird, random jobs that I would just like pick up here, pick up there. So I'm like, this isn't going to work.
I
I need
think
to write
there's a
jobs.
reason for all these jobs, by the way.
Absolutely. Okay. Because all of my grievances turn into miracles. It's crazy to know that these things, these little nuggets that where the universe
Yes.
ping pong balls you around are the best things that ever happened to you. So
Yes.
I apply for a job like, I'm like, I want skincare. I want to be around cute stuff. I want somewhere I'm going to get a good discount. I'm going to apply
Yep.
for this apothecary. And she looks at my resume and is like, you're insane. You can't be my shop girl. You have to like build my website. We don't have a website yet. I'm like, great. So every week I went in, we photographed or we gathered photos, and I wrote descriptions of products. I wrote descriptions of hundreds of products. We got the website up. And then I would just keep everything going, keep up with the inventory. I knew every single product. I became educated on small products, on beauty products from all over the world. I knew these people can do this. I can do this. I started meeting makers, and they weren't like L'Oreal, like a big wig company. It was like some lady and her husband, or, just someone doing this thing. And I'm like, okay,
This is
I see how
inspiring.
this is going, like I get this. I could do something with this, but I didn't know what. So all of this time, I'm still just going to work every day. And then another friend calls. And I think your friends are like your angels. When
Yeah.
you look back, there are certain people in your life to do certain weird things. And it's not even like big things. It's like, go meet this person. So another friend calls and says, you need to meet my friend. She lives in Detroit. She's my bestie. Like, we hang out tough. I know you'll get along with her. And I meet with her, and she starts complaining about her website. And I'm like, girl, I can build your website. I'd done all of this for Sleeping with Manhattan. I'd done podcasts. I'd done the blog. I know how to build. I did Squarespace. I did all of it. So I'm like, I can build your website. So she became my first client before I even had Hi CanDace. Long story short, maybe 2 years later, she had wanted to build a dream spa. I wrote her business plan. I got her funding. She has the spa. It's beautiful.
That's
It's
so
an amazing
amazing.
place. Um, so all of these things are building. Then I meet my husband at a random dinner party. I don't know he's my husband at the time, but I move in 3 months later because I can't live with my mother. And and so
I
it's like,
understand.
and then I'm like, I need a car. My mom is driving me everywhere. And then the check, my grandma dies like a year before. I get a check from her. I didn't expect a check from her. I didn't know she had money put aside for me. And
Yeah.
$10,000 was in my account. I was able to buy a car, just like settle myself a little bit, get into my comfort zone, and zoom. So, I really worked with Hi CanDace. I worked with more than 35 women in 7 years, 35 to 45 women all over the United States, sometimes out of the United States, and all sustainable, high luxury fashion or something in the arts, linen companies, gift box
Helping them
companies,
get
clothing
started
companies,
on their businesses.
getting started or rebuilding their website or consulting or just whatever they really needed. I was their front man, right?
That's so cool.
And it was really fun. Great lesson on business from that angle. And where I didn't know at the time was I wasn't valuing myself. I wasn't charging enough. I was exhausted
Yeah.
all the time. I was over promising, so I could never really over deliver because I was just trying to move the needle on the financial part. And then
Hmm.
my husband and I bought a house in Detroit for like $5,000 in an auction. And then we stripped it down and both rebuilt it, which this is the
Whoa.
house, completely changed everything because now I'm working on this house every single day, every single weekend. For 3 years, my business really struggled, but I knew I
Mm.
didn't want to do it anymore. So I kept the clients that were the easiest and paid the most. And I just kind of like fumbled along. And then 2020 happened and George Floyd happened and all of the things happened. And I went through
Yeah.
a really dark time and I did not know who to trust. I dropped
Yeah.
a lot of
Makes
friends.
sense.
I isolated myself. I was pissed at everybody. I was pissed at the world. I was pissed at being pissed all the time. And, and just
I
feeling like
get that.
everything felt like a major roller coaster. Uh, and that's when really I started digging into my practice. And so the next phase was, I think everyone does this, Reiki attunement. It's like
Ah.
everyone starts with Reiki and like some sort of energy healing. And that's when I got my first attunement and I saw guides in my visions, I knew it was real. That was confirmation for me.
Mm.
So from there, I had already developed Louloudi as like this anti-aging skin company, but it wasn't telling my true message. So I would go out and do pop-ups and people would be talking to me about their skin issues. And I would be like, I got to tell them it's not just I can't tell them to just use my products. So
Okay.
I couldn't get it out. I couldn't do it. It didn't feel honest. I wanted to
Authentic.
say,
Yeah.
well, tell me how you feel about yourself when you look in the mirror. Well, tell me what you're eating and what's going on with your diet on a day-to-day basis. Tell me a little, like, I couldn't go there because I didn't know anything. So went back to school for herbology and started learning about just like natural medicine. And at this time, I got bit by a tick and I developed Lyme's disease.
Oh, wow.
And this is when I really honed in on chronic illness and like working on my body to heal and to remove my symptoms. And it really, because after, I don't know, 45 days of antibiotics, nothing left. Okay. The Lyme's was in there.
Oh,
It was in there. And I believe that the antibiotics wrecked my body more than the Lyme's because my system was done. So after gorging on every probiotic I could get my hands on and just like eating yogurt all day. Okay. I'm just eating kimchi, yogurt, sauerkraut to the
you
cows
just
come home.
are a
I would travel with
probiotic
it.
now.
I was just a probiotic. Okay. I'm a living culture. I'm just literally, I got into like going back to, I grew up dancing, gymnastics, ballet for 20 years. I started moving my
Mm.
body different. I started really honing in on pain in my body where it was stuck, doing these long stretches, sometimes 5-minute stretches on one part. And pain would just like release. And I'd be crying
Interesting.
and I'd
Yeah.
be in tears and I would be like remembering something that happened that didn't seem like a big deal at the time, but it got stuck. I
Yeah.
didn't know this. I didn't know what this was. I finally go into it. I'm like, this is somatic healing.
Sticks there. And it's not trying to like punish you. It's trying to alert you saying, hey, hi, you feel this way. Let's talk about it. Let's do something about it. Let's release it. So I'm learning all about this stuff and I'm diving deep, baby. I'm reading books like a crazy person. I'm just like, what is all of this? So my husband doesn't really own the business with me, but he like sends out all the packaging and does stuff. And he's invested because, it's a part of our future. And I look at him,
Right.
I'm like, I got to change Louloudi. I got to make it about spirit. And he's like, are you serious? And I'm like, yes. And he's like, well, what are you going to say? And I'm like, I don't know, but I got to say something. And so I started like being honest about what I was experiencing and talking to people for real. So
Yeah.
I would go to pop-ups and bring tarot and like really get into like what was digging in their guts and like healing on that level. And I started adding just sessions on my site for skin healing because I'm like, I bet you I could talk to you and tell you a little bit more about your condition than I can, and then give you something to do, and then give you a remedy, and then we go over it. And I like eczema, for instance, it's chronic stress is you're so tense that your pores are tight. Your moisture can't get through, you know, and hormonal, it's about getting into your root chakra. How do you feel about your period? How do you feel about your femininity and your womanhood and being grounded in this reality as who you are? And, you know, chronic acne, when you look in the mirror, what do you feel about yourself? What do you think about yourself? Do you not want people to look at you? Like all of these things. Now we're talking about some real healing here. Now I'm saying
they manifest.
Yep. Now you're doing this other stuff, right? So all of this is happening, and I'm starting to say, you know, I feel when I was just doing skincare, I felt so pinned in.
Yeah.
So I started using my garden to grow things. And now I'm like, okay, now I can make little blends with stinging nettle and like.
See, I was going to ask about this garden because I was looking at the pictures online and I'm like, okay, you're in Detroit.
And Detroit is a weird place. Okay. Detroit is an anomaly because when the big flight happened and everyone left and they knocked down all the houses and all the houses were really cheap.
Yeah.
They left a lot of land. So I live in the middle of the city. I'm right next to, most people know, Eastern Market, which is like the biggest outdoor like farmers market in the United States.
But how cool. I've never been.
It's like it's so fun. It's if you imagine a city block, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 houses on my block compared to the traditional 12, 15. So the rest of it is just open land. And we all own our land next to us. So we bought up the lots next to us. And so you have about a house and a half to 2 houses worth of growing space. And I happen to live in probably one of the farmer areas. So my neighbors across from me over here have a farm. My neighbor down the street has a flower farm. Neighbor over here has a giant. He's a teacher who teaches gardening. So it's just the area for that.
I love that you're bringing that to a place that felt like it was falling apart. And because being on this side of it, you know, not living there, not being there, or not even visited there, I'm like, oh, I wonder about that. How are they doing over there? You know, and are they surviving? And is it just flat, you know, broken down? And those pictures gave me hope for Detroit. Like,
oh, it's so fun. And
seriously.
You know, I think it's the best kept secret, to be honest. It's such a weird city. It's both Midwestern, so it's friendly. It's a city, so it has like, I have like a women's group here of small business owners. I know 35 small business owners in a very small amount of space. We really support the small business. Yeah. It's also kind of country because it's so open and there are pheasants and like hawks and eagles and like this weird.
This is not how I imagined it.
No. And then there is this, it's a giant, it's a very large city. It's the blackest city and one of the blackest cities, it's 80% black. So it's like there's barbecues and fireworks happen every day in the summer. Last week we had
fun.
The large music festival that comes here. It has been for the last 30 years. And we have 25 people come to town from everywhere from Saudi Arabia to Greece to Mexico City to Russia to people coming from everywhere to Detroit. And everyone, by the time they were, I love Detroit. Like they love it here.
That's so cool.
Lawless. Like you can kind of just do what you want. No one's bothering you. But like at the same time, it's kind of warm, you know, it's weird.
I love that description because, you know, there's those preconceived ideas of what something would be like. And then when you're in it or when you have someone who is part of it, it really, you know, kind of opens up your eyes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I like that. I like that I can see it through your eyes here. Mm-hmm. And now you bringing your business to the area and the thriving garden and growing that too. I mean, that just changes the energy of the space as well. And so let's talk about energy. So you work with energy
all day
and your connection to your product line and what you do as you formulate and make these products. I'm sure that your energy gets into those. And do you work with?
I won't even work if I'm in a bad mood. I won't make. Which will suck, but I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't put it out there like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a connection to God in the form of nature.
Yes.
And just this concept that there is nothing he hasn't given us or she hasn't given us, what the universe has provided for us, comes in the simplest packets. like a
Yes.
dandelion, which everyone's like, dandelions. I'm like, do you know how many amino acids and minerals and nutrients are in this one root that is abundant, abundant? And saying, pick me, use me. You need me. You need to flush your liver. You need to flush your kidneys. I always feel like the plant that shows up for you. If you see something in your garden that wasn't there, it's supposed to be there.
And volunteers.
Yeah, and I think they come to help. I think they come to serve. So one crazy part is like a couple years ago when I was really trying to establish the garden, I needed more plants. And my friend was like, I just looked on Craigslist Marketplace. This woman is giving away plants in this neighborhood in Detroit. I'm like, cool, let's go. And she's a witch. So she's like, when we get there, she's a down home witch. This lady, I don't know how old she was. I know she was over 60, was moving like a quick little bee in this garden, digging stuff up for us to take. Okay. We ended up talking to her for so long, and it was the hottest day that I can remember. That by the time we got all the plants in, we hadn't put water in them. We were just tossing them on the cement. Okay. Just like all of these roots in these plants. And we're like, all of these plants are going to be dead when we get home. Everything is wilted, but we can't ask her for more. I rushed home. I planted everything from this woman's garden. Everything came up in abundance. It all came back. And it was everything from comfrey to nettle to lady's mantle to my wild raspberry bush. And these, when I started learning about these plants, I'm like, you were meant to be here. And like, I'll honor you by using you and, tell me what to do. What do we do? I talk to the plants, which anybody can do, by the way. It's like you look for a face and then you start communicating and they will tell you whatever you need to hear about that plant, especially. And then I started asking to see, like, I just wanted to be able to have fun with it, where I had some set recipes and then some stuff I could riff if I got bored and I wanted to create something new. And then just more stuff started showing up. So then all of a sudden the wild thistle came in. And then, like this, and this year I realized we had like wild grapes. And I'm like, oh, grape leaves. And like,
interesting.
They just appear. But it's just, energy I've been doing a course in miracles. And I've been doing it for about 2 years. And the other day when I was outside, I just kind of I had one of those moments where the concept is like everything that is animus is one thing. And it's like the actual light that moves the object is the holy thing. So anything that moves, anything that animates is all one. We're all sharing this space. And then just like this concept of like, it's all our creation. I just had to feel like this level of wowness or just awe in even just like, in Detroit where all of these houses were knocked down and all of this stuff was kind of like abandoned and people left it behind.
With pain has changed.
Yes. And like they took land from people and just like all of this chaos, it all comes back and it all just like is back here for us as if it never left in total forgiveness, like let's do this again. Let's do this again, and it just feels really like I'm so blessed to be able to like offer these services to people. And I sometimes forget that people don't know it because I'm always so in it. And I'm like, you don't know that's a such and such plant, or like, oh, that's a geranium. What's a wild geranium? Do you know what you can do with a wild geranium? And they're like, how do you know that? Like it comes out at you so vibrantly once you recognize it. It's like you get this extra, almost like if you're scanning a field of green, all of a sudden the personalities of each different component can like, hi, I'm here.
Okay.
Hi, I'm here. And it's just
it reminds me of like I'm in Florida, so we got a lot of bugs here, and I was walking in the forest, and I remember reading about these beautyberry plants, and I didn't bring my bug spray, and I was like, wait a minute, and I start looking around, and I'm like, aha. So I grab all these leaves and I start rubbing on my arms and my legs and stuff. And then I'm green, but that's fine. But I'll tell you what, I only got bit twice.
See, that's what I'm talking about. And it's kind of like, you thought of it as it was there.
Yes.
Or like it showed up for you, or like there was this symbiotic relationship,
Mm-hmm.
And even I tell people, when you're taking something or when you're putting something on, give it its function. Why are you taking me?
Yeah.
You help me with X, Y, and Z. I need this to ease my headache. I need this to ease my tummy. Just tell it what its function is, and it's there to work with you. Thank it for being here. It takes just a
Yes.
second. Yeah.
That's so, we forget that. And
Mhm.
that's something that, like, cause I'll look at essential oils themselves, and I'm like, oh, geranium and this and that. But I don't ever think about the actual plant. I know it came from that, but you're taking it and you're going, okay, I want to have a relationship with these actual plants that I'm investing in and bringing that energy forward and helping build that up and sharing that with the world. And I really love that connection that you have.
Thank
And,
you. And
it's an inspiration.
it's so funny because when you say it like that, I think of like everything on the 3D reality is a shadow of something else, right? So
Mm-hmm.
all plants have oversouls, all pets have oversouls, all animals have oversouls. And the oversoul is there to give you a piece of its essence, to allow you to partake in whatever, because we are all one. So I consider it being like, I'm talking to the oversoul of this plant. And this geranium, vasoconstrictive, if you need to open up your blood vessels, smell it, I need to open up my blood vessels. That's why you're
Yeah.
here. That's why I'm here. Let's work together. And it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. I used geranium. I had a really bad surgery that went a little wild and I had nerve damage, and I used geranium to help me through that a lot. So there's, when you're just not, when you're as a consumer looking back at things, you don't notice as clearly as you should. And then we bring in the chemical aspect of it. And so I like that you're taking that natural energy and bringing that through. So now you work with a goddess. Can you tell me about her and how
Eurybia
that works?
is POTUS and Gaia's love child. So
Okay.
she is in charge of the constellation of the wind. She's not a physical form. She is a force. Okay. So she is the force of the movement of the waters. She is the force of how the planets move. It's the oomph. It's the daughter of. So if you think of, I always think of like God as the major archetype, and then from God sprouts feminine and masculine, and then I even think from the feminine is Gaia, the masculine is POTUS, water, and then you get the children together, and it's the daughter of these two components and what moves between land and water.
And
I didn't
that's
realize
Eurybia.
I
Is that how you say it?
Eurybia. So it's like
Eurybia. Thank you.
Eurybia, like your rib. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so she so she came to me, and it's funny because I don't think I knew it at the time, but even now when you look at the Eurybia collection, it's green, it's focused on the ocean, so we use all algae ingredients, which are the freaking best. Okay, spirulina is like space food. All nutrition, all the minerals you need, all everything. Everybody can take it. It's not a supplement. It's food. You could eat it. You wouldn't want to. You wouldn't want to eat it all day, but you could, and you wouldn't.
I wonder if that's what's up on my beach all the time.
Let me tell you, it tastes like feet, but it would keep you alive. And
Good to know.
yeah, but it gives you it like. And if you drink, if you're not feeling well, if you drank too much, if you got chronic pain in your body, if you doused about just 3 tablespoons of spirulina in water, give it about 15 minutes, it pulls metals, it pulls toxins, it binds to them. You will notice the difference. It energizes the cells, it provides the nutrients for the cells, and it allows you to move your bowels to get the stuff out. So it's excellent. So we went plant and water. We started with algae. It's also a natural humectant. It keeps moisture in. It's one of the oldest plant species on the planet. If you think of time being wisdom, it has a lot of wisdom. And
Yes.
and I really played with it in all. I'm the kind of person, I'm like, don't throw one thing at it, throw everything at it. Put all the algae in it. Don't put one algae in it. Put
I
7
want them
algae
all.
in it. One of them's got to work. And so we went with kelp, bladderwrack, giant sea kelp. I said that one. I'm sorry, chlorella, spirulina. And then we decided to throw in royal jelly, turmeric, honey, passion flower, and it does all of the things. It is a beautiful product. I'm so proud of her. And I think it smells like a sexy little mermaid when I think of the essential oil blend. And that was kind of just like my first love child. I don't think I'll ever put out the other 2 lines. I may do one more. I think she does everything she needs to do, and I think she works for everyone. And that was something that, again, when you come into the game, you have to kind of learn all the rules so that you can break them. And I had to know, like the difference between different types of skin, different types of conditions. But at the end of the day, everyone needs the same balanced meal. Yeah. And I think she's a balancer. And she just keeps everything where it's supposed to be. You need to retain moisture and hydration. And hydration and moisture. You need to seal to protect, and you need to cleanse. And so she does all of it. So I don't even know how I could improve on that aspect.
That makes sense. And you have these in individual type purchases, and then there's a package. Is that right?
Yes. So we did the sample kit, which comes in the cutest little muslin packet. I think I'm sold out of most things I'm making all next week. It comes in and it's got resealable containers. I was like, you need to be able to take this sample with you when you go on vacation. You need to be able to travel with it and reclose it. And you need to be able to try my skincare for like a week. A one-time try is not going to let you know if something works for you. You need a week with it. So we give you a full week's worth of product, and then you can buy them individually. And it's kind of fun because I have the same customers that I've had for 4 years, the same people, and they build on that. But, it's not my soap is a domed soap bar. It's a massaging facial bar. It's a hard soap. It's made with spirulina, bladderwrack, giant sea kelp, and mango butter and shea. And it has a travel bag that you can use when the bar gets low, but it lasts like 60 to 75 days.
Wow.
So it's like, I'm not trying to get you to do this number one, stop spending this much. You don't need 15 products. You need to cleanse, you need to hydrate, you need to seal, and then once a week, detox. So I want my products to last for you at least 45 days. So my customers shop like every 3 to 6 months. They bulk up, then I don't hear from them. And that's what I love. I'm trying to do it where it feels sustainable, affordable, but it actually works.
Yes. Yes. And that's what we need these days, for sure. So, well, thank you for being very mindful about your products and putting your heart and your energy into it, and then working with that earth and water energy and male and feminine, just to get that going for everybody, so it's not just for women, it's for men, it's, it's for everybody.
Everyone,
so I love that.
The detox. Okay. I put it on the dog. I think I put the detox mask on his feet before, for sure.
The dog.
I pause. Yeah. I'm like, I'm definitely sure I've done that one.
How cute. That's great. That's great. Now, I know that you mentioned earlier that you had, before we got on the call, that you had a vision board book coming out. I want to know about this because, obviously you got to this place with your business through this vision that you had, and now you're sharing it with people. So can you kind of tell us about your book?
Yes. So it's going to teach you how to manifest. It's going to teach you how to build the ritual to do the board. Universe is asking for will. The universe likes your time. Time might not be real, but the more effort you put towards something, the more seeds you're sowing. Okay. You sow those seeds, you get the reward. You might not get them in this lifetime. I'm not telling you that everything is going to come to pass, but you get it's the way it works. If you put the seed in the ground and you water it, it grows. Okay.
Yeah.
And I like to think of it like that. We take our emotions out of it. I wanted a way for you to be able to sit down with one thing and be able to go from the beginning to the end and have all of the information. I've got to say that I think my favorite part about this book comes down to the actual questions. So I put in, I did this in the order of astrology. I'm a student of astrology and human design. And I wanted something that worked with this was very selfish, this book. I wanted something to work with my astrological clock. And I knew that before, I was like, and when you do vision boards, it's so hard to think about the different little things. You can come up with sometimes a big vision, but you got to hone in. And it's literally like working on a blueprint. If you've ever worked on a house or even any kind of project, you plan it on paper, you decide where everything's going to go, you decide how it's going to go, and then you let life happen. And eventually, clumsily, you end up kind of with the same design, even if you learned your building skills on YouTube. So it works like that. But I want to show you, I'm going to read you one of the questions. So we went through each house to tell you what the houses was about so that you could use it. And so like the first house of self, we have journaling prompts that you ask yourself prior to working on your board so that you get to the big stuff. And it could be anything from like what physical activities make you feel most alive, because the self is really about like how other people see you, how you see yourself, how you envision your body, your mind, all of it. And what new life journey are you ready to begin? Like these are what I call key unlocking questions that actually get down to what you really want, instead of where I see a lot of vision boards going. You look at a lot of people's vision boards. What do you see? A Ferrari. You see a whole bunch of money and some coins. You see.
Yeah. I host these at my house every year, so I know.
You know, and it's very tangible. And I'm saying, you don't want that Ferrari. You want to feel free with the top down.
Yep.
You know, you don't want that big house most of the time. Do you really want to clean that house? Or do you want a house that makes you feel beautiful and like you are, you know, in this next stage of your life? So when you get down to the feeling, the actual feeling aspects of these different houses, like, and start asking yourself real questions. What does home mean to me? What does family mean to me? To me, to me, to me, not to somebody else. You will really come up with some answers that allow you to put a goal on the board. And a goal is how you stay on track. And I believe in goals for everything, but I believe in big goals. So, you know, for me, financial freedom is freedom. What does freedom mean? I'm not paying any bills over here. Okay. I don't want to pay any bills. I want to pay the least amount of bills so that I can go and do and be who I want to be. It doesn't mean that I can have a ton of money all the time that I'm just sitting on. It means that I am free no matter what. It's a question that I can ask myself when I am in a financial bind or when I'm trying to reach for something financially. Doesn't make you feel free. And then it's an easy filter. It's a yes or a no. You know, when it comes to dating, I ask, this is my favorite question to unlock something, is like, you know, what kind of partner do you need to be the best person you can be?
That's a very good question.
Thinking, I'm not thinking about like, you know, like who's going to be able to ride with you?
Yep. This is going to help you shine.
And help you shine and help you feel loved. What does that look like from your perspective? You can't control the other person. Then you start coming up with some real tangible ideas that you can place your mind around that is literally going to tell you the universe is saying no, the universe is saying yes. And the universe really doesn't say no. The universe says, really? This is what you want?
Are you sure you want that?
Yeah. Let me show you some reasons why you might not want this.
Let me help you.
What I do want. Yeah, that's not what you want. You know, you want something better. It's never worse. It's always better. It's always bigger. You can't, we don't have the capability to dream as big as the universe.
That is true.
You know, we haven't been able in this lifetime yet see what the greatness. You see it in Einstein. You see it in, and you know, I was looking at, I don't know if you know Lee Harris. He's a channel.
No.
He's got a great monthly, like just where energy is, an energy update that comes out every month. I always listen at the beginning and the end of the month. He's put out like 8 books in the last 4 years.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? Like that's the universe. That's when you are performing at a level you never thought was possible.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I think like with our societal limitations that have kind of placed themselves over humanity, we don't see that. And we, you know, those of us are kind of tapping into it through our meditation and through our practices and seeing things in different perspectives and starting to see synchronicities and lining everything up. You start to notice it a little bit more and you're going, there's possibility here. And where there's possibility, I'm going to put that energy. And when that energy starts growing, there's a piece of God.
Stop you. Because what's for you cannot miss you. It will keep showing up. It will never miss you. It is waiting for you. That's how generous. It's waiting for you. Do all the things you want to try. Go ahead.
Yeah.
When you're ready, I'm here.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm waiting for you.
Yeah, I'm waiting
This
for
is
you.
awesome.
Yeah.
I love this. I'm like, where can I get this book? So tell me.
Everywhere that books are sold.
Everywhere books are sold.
Yeah, it's at Target, it's at Walmart. We're even at the MoMA bookstore. And I will
Oh my
be hosting
goodness.
vision board parties this year. I know I'm going to do one in New York when I go, I think in June or July. I'm still finalizing the date. And then I'll be doing one in Detroit. But I'm like, I want to travel and have this. And we do this for 3 days somewhere cute and like, have a real
Like
good
a
time.
retreat?
A real retreat. Breathing exercises, talk to the universe, really hone in on the dream. Let's get your guides in there. Let's really build this and then look at it and then praise it and be so happy because it's all about the creation of something, We're celebrating the creation. Yeah.
Together and building each other up. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love this. Well, all of everything that you've talked about here, that you've started with your collection of jobs and moving that information through to help you through life and through all of these things, what is the major point of advice that you would give somebody who's trying to find their way, who feels like at 30 they failed,
There is only the truth and the illusion. And you know it's an illusion because it starts sounding, I'm going to give you a story.
Okay.
So the other day, this is the craziest thing that's happened. I'm actually pretty excited to share this with someone. So I've been doing this course in miracles and you actually perform miracles. And I was like, I don't even know what that means, but okay, let's keep going with these lessons. So the other day we were at the Movement Festival and we stayed really late and my husband and I were getting an Uber home. And we get in this Uber with this guy and he is in a mood. Okay. The car is raggedy. He's in a mood and he cannot get us anywhere. He doesn't know where he's going. I'm 5 minutes away from where I was going. I'm not far. I know you can't read this GPS, sir. So I just look at him and I say, how's your night going? And oh, baby, terrible. I hate this job. Lyft and Uber have been taking 25% more money from me. And I said, they have been? He said, yes, I just can't. I can't get it together. And I'm like, well, it doesn't seem like you like to drive that much. You're not very good at it. Like, are you sure this is your job? And I'm not
call him out.
I'm not really like going in. I'm like, I don't know if you really want to be doing this. And he kind of looked at me like, I'm like, you don't have to be good at this. This is not what's required. You might not like doing this. Stop doing it. Well, I really have been trying to get a job at Ford, but I didn't graduate from college. Oh, I know tons of people that didn't graduate. You don't want to work there. Those people suck. That's not what you want to do. And then he's like, false belief, Uber's fault. False belief, Lyft's fault. False belief, I can't get a job at Ford. False belief, I dropped out of college. And then, I was addicted to drugs for a while. And so, that's why you're not addicted to drugs anymore. Sounds like you know what you're doing, sir. You were able to get over drugs. You sound like you're doing something right. You saw you had a problem and you overcame it. You know how many people can't get over drugs?
No kidding, right?
So by this time we're in front of my house. My husband is like, he's harmless. You're still talking to him. I'm going to bed. So he goes in the house. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, do you see all the walls you just put up instead of bridges? Do you see where you said, no, I can't do this because that's what they want from you. Mm-hmm. It's an illusion. You come up with, you don't even need them. You have the idea that because of this, I can't do this. If you say ever, it's a mathematical equation, because of X, I cannot do Y, then because of X, you cannot do Y.
Right.
Period. He starts bursting into tears.
Oh.
Sweetest man. He's from Colombia. He's here with his wife and his baby. I just want to be a good dad. I just want to be a good husband. I just want to be able to do this.
Yeah.
He said to me, I've been praying for a miracle and you show up. And I say, I've been reading the Course of Miracles and you showed up. And we had this moment. He took out a notebook and I planned out his entire business. What
Wow.
do you like to do? I build computers. Oh, you do? I don't know how to build a computer. That's a talent.
No kidding.
And I love to fix iPhones. My iPhone is broken right now. What do you mean you know how to fix iPhones? He says, yeah, I got a 20-year-old little sister. She breaks her phone all the time. I send her the kit in the mail, and then I walk her through on Zoom how to fix it. I said, film it the next time you do it.
Whoa.
Sell it as a course and drop ship the package, okay?
Yes.
When the package gets there, teach me how to do this, okay? And I said, if she didn't break her phone again, call one of her 20-year-old friends, because you know at least 5 of them have a broken phone. Film
Yep.
it, sell the recording, sell the dropship package. You don't have to live here to do this. You know, I'm paying $1,100 a month in rent. I can't keep up. You had $1,100 and you were in Colombia, you'd be a rich man. You're right about that. You don't need this job. This isn't you. That's you. We talked about him. I said, don't spend any money on this. Don't buy an ad. We talked about him sending all of the parts to people who want to learn how to build their own computer, offering a class teaching them how to build a computer, charging a service for consulting if they need help and someone to hold their hand, having a consulting firm where people just say, hey, can you build me this computer? And you send this computer. He stayed on my porch for about an hour. We took notes. He stayed on my porch for an hour in a car that he had to leave idle because the battery was dead. And he's like, if I turn this car on, it's not going to turn back on. I said, don't turn the car off. And then I looked at him before he left, and we hugged. He cried. We hugged. I wished him well. And then I said, don't you dare be scared on your way home that this car is going to stop. If God sent us this miracle, this car is going to make it home. Go home.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Wow. What? You know, it's those things that align you with that bigger, greater purpose of connection and showing and sharing your light with other people. And if you can do that, you know, just take those opportunities to do that, just like you did, to see people for people, like to really see them.
Yeah. And the pain comes from these ideas that we were born with, that they're not ours. They don't belong to us. He said, you know, my dad worked at Ford until he died, and my grandpa worked at Ford until he died. Were they happy? No. Then why would you? They don't want
why would you want to do that?
What they want for you. Don't trap yourself.
Yeah.
Don't believe them. Don't believe them.
Yeah.
You know when you came here to do something more. You know it in your deepest, deepest place. And all you have to do is surrender to the experience of not knowing and stop trying to make bold moves and allow it to kind of unfold. And it will unfold in the craziest, most sloppy, you can't predict it. And why would you don't want to predict it. It wouldn't be any fun.
Right. Why would we do that? That would be boring.
It would be boring. It would be boring.
And we didn't come here for boring.
We didn't come here for boring. And these moments, and it's my favorite part, is to say that turn my grievances into miracles. Turn these things into something. They are not here to harm me. They're here to say, I'm going to make this miserable so you leave. Thank you for making it miserable so that I left. How would I have known?
Yeah, and look, you're living proof of this, because leaving New York, where you were having struggle, going to a place that you felt like you were in struggle, and then having these changes just be a catalyst for your awakening, your multi-awakening, and bringing forward this part of you that shines and can then bring miracles to other people through touching their lives in many, many, many ways. I mean, whether it be your skincare line, whether it be your book, whether it be your other book, you know, and guiding them through their processes, but just being you, literally, you know. So that's absolutely on point, and I'm really glad.
It's like became in a vessel, our perfect vessels, our little machines, so that we could do for each other, and we could remember each other through each other. Right? I've been where he was.
Yeah,
I knew it, and you know it's an illusion from how someone talks about it. It starts to sound robotic. It starts to sound like what everybody else says. The story's never unique. You know?
That's true.
You know, and that's when you're saying that's a programming. That's a programming.
Let's deprogram. Let's switch the flip, and let's do.
And he said, I didn't even think about it like that. That's all he had to do. It was just a switch, tiny. He did the work. I just asked questions. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I love this. Well, CanDace, thank you so, so much for sharing, well, your vision, your story, your connections, and opening, I'm sure, eyes for many people and sharing your heart. So I
Thank
definitely
you.
appreciate you. And tell me, where can we find you? Where can we follow you? Where can we find your website?
Always find me at louloudiskincare.com. You can find me at Shopper Finder on TikTok and Louloudi_skincare at Instagram.
Nice. Okay. And I will have that in the show notes for people. So
Perfect.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
The energy coming off of the screen is insane. So that's just so confirming.
I love it. I love it. Thank you.
And I'm literally have so much to do around the house today. I'm going to put your podcast on to just like clean and listen.